Happy Monday, geometry students. Today is a little bit boring, I have to admit. Tomorrow you'll do an investigation with Sketchpad, but today we just got to hammer through page 29 of your blue packet. This blue packet's going to be invaluable the next 2 days. You're going to need to read it, get to know it, okay? We've talked a little bit about some of these things on Friday, but I want to go over them again. We're going to talk about angle relationships Monday and Tuesday. The first one is very similar to segment addition from last Friday. It's called angle addition. Zoom in on it a little bit here. It just says, again, if R is in the interior of PQS. Okay, we talked about R being between P and Q last week for segment addition, but it just says that PQR plus RQS is equal to PQS, right? If angles are adjacent and you add them together, you get the bigger angle. That's it in a nutshell. All right, the next two postulates are theorems. We're just going to accept that these are true. We could prove them if we wanted to, but we're not going to. They're just kind of geometric. Theorems are geometric law. Okay, we know them to be true. And this supplement theorem we've talked a lot about. If two angles form a linear pair, then they are supplementary. Okay, so 1 and 2 form a linear pair. They're opposite rays, form a line. They share a side, so they're adjacent. They share a vertex. When you add them together, you get 180 degrees. Okay, so linear pairs are supplementary. Okay, we've talked a lot about that. Now, the complement theorem says that if you have two adjacent angles and they form a right angle, then they've got to be complementary. Okay, so we're just putting some words to some stuff that probably seem a little bit obvious. You know it's a right angle by the notation, or because they tell you that two lines are perpendicular. Okay, so 3 and 4 have to be complementary angles. When you add them together, you get 90 degrees. So let's look at a couple examples here. It says 1 and 2 form a linear pair, and the measure of angle 2 equals 115. We want to find the measure of angle 1. Okay, so if they're supplementary, they add up to 180. We know that 2 is 115. We just subtract 115 from both sides to get the measure of angle 1 is 65. Okay. Example 2 is the complement. 1 and 2 form a right angle. Therefore, you know that 1 plus 2 is equal to 90 degrees. They tell you that angle 2 is 20 degrees. Therefore, you know if you subtract 20 from both sides, that angle 1 has to be 70. And if you notice, they're justifying each step with a property. All right, so let's look at a couple examples because, of course, we want to incorporate some algebra into this. It says, find the measure of each numbered angle and name the theorem that justifies your work. Okay, so we're still doing proofs a little bit. All right, so if you look at this picture, what do you notice about 7 and 8? You're right, they're a linear pair. Therefore, they're supplementary. So when you add them together, you get 180 degrees. And then they tell you that 7 plus 8, so let's just write that down. Measure of angle 7 plus the measure of angle 8 equals 180. They tell you that 5x plus measure of angle 7 is 5x plus 5, measure of angle 8 is x minus 5. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to substitute. Okay? And we'll say this is the supplementary theorem. And I'm going to substitute 5x plus 5 plus x minus 5 is equal to 180. Substitution. Okay, now I'm going to combine like terms. 5x plus x is 6x. 5 minus 5 is 0. So I get 6x equals 180. And again, I could say substitution because I'm replacing 5x plus x with 6x. Now I'm going to divide both sides by 6, and I get x is equal to 30. So this is the division property of equality. Now, I solved for x, but that's not what it asked for. It said find the measure of each number angle. So I've got to plug it back in, and I'm going to plug it back into 8, because that looks easier to me. 8 is 30 minus 5, so 8 is 25 degrees. Now I'm just going to subtract that from 180, 180 minus 25 is what? 155? And that's how I solve 7 and 8. I'm going to need a little bit more paper here for this next one. Let's zoom in on number 2. It says, what does it say? Ooh, I'm going to have to add all of them. 5 plus 6 plus 7 plus 8. Aren't I? Aren't they supplementary? If you add all of those together, 5 plus the measure of angle 6 plus the measure of angle 7 plus the measure of angle 8 is equal to 180. And I don't think you can see that, so I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Because they form a linear pair. Now I'm going to substitute in for all of these. So this is supplement theorem. 5 is 5x. Angle 6 is 4x plus 6. Angle 7 is 10x. Angle 8 is 12x minus 12 equal to 180. Now I've got to combine like terms. I get 9x, 19x plus 12. 19x plus 12 is 31x. Minus 6 is equal to 100. That isn't right. Oh yeah, 6 plus negative 12 is negative 6. I'm going to add 6 to both sides. 186 divided by 31 is 6. Let's justify this as substitution. This is substitution. I'm just combining like terms, and I could even say combining like terms. This is the addition property of equality because I add 6 to both sides, and this is the division property of equality. I divided both sides by 6. Now again, it didn't ask me what x was, it asked me what each of the measure of the angles were. So, angle 5 was 5x, which is 30 degrees. The measure of angle 6 was what? 4x plus 6. So 24 plus 6 is 32 degrees. The measure of angle 7 was 10x, 60 degrees. And the measure of angle 8 was 12x minus 12, so 72 minus 12, which is 60. So when I add all of those up, 30 plus 32 plus 60 plus 60, it's not 180. So I made a mistake. And then I have to go back and fix it. So where was my mistake? 5x plus 4x, because this should be 180, right? All right, 5x plus 4x plus 6 plus 10x plus 12x minus 12 had to equal 180 degrees. Let's see, 5 plus 4, 10 plus 12, 5 plus 4 plus 10 plus 12 is 31. 6 minus 12 is negative 6. 186 divided by 31 is 6. So I'm off somewhere. 24 plus 6 is 30. Right there. There's my mistake. So that's how I knew. So that's 180 degrees. All right? You guys should be able to do example 3. It's the same thing here. 11 and 13, they're a linear pair. So when you add them together, you should get 180. And then you're doing some algebra here. Okay? All right, you're doing the yellow packet, page 29, for your homework. See you Wednesday. Bye.